When it comes to young players in the NBA, you need to have patience with their development. It's very rare for someone to come into the league and dominate immediately, or even be a productive player immediately. Youth and inexperience tend to lead to mistakes, and over time as players get more comfortable, they steadily improve and become the best player that they can be. However, in the early years, there is still somewhat of an expectation for players to at least show glimmers of hope for the future, and if they struggle mightily for an extended period of time, the leash on them gets shorter and shorter before they find themselves out of the league. This brings us to today's video, where we'll be discussing 7 young NBA players who, going into this season, desperately need a breakout year, because this could be the season that makes or breaks them moving forward. Before we start though, make sure to subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first player we'll discuss going into a make-or-break year is the most experienced and oldest player on this list, being Michael Kidd-Gilchrist of the Charlotte Hornets. Kidd-Gilchrist played alongside Anthony Davis at Kentucky, won a national championship with him, and went on to be the second overall pick back in 2012 after Davis. His biggest appeal as a prospect was his ability to be a lockdown defender, and in that regard, he has translated well to the league. Since he's been on the Hornets, he's been in charge of guarding opposing teams' best players, and has always done a very good job doing so. The issue, however, that has plagued him throughout his career has been his lack of any sort of significant offensive impact. His jump shot is completely broken, and he's not even very good at creating shots for himself off the dribble, getting to the rim. As a wing player, that's a big issue, which in turn has led to issues for the Hornets. However, last season, he made a very positive change to his game that I think could save his career, and am hoping to see more of it going forward, seeing as this is a make-or-break year for him as he enters free agency next summer. The change that he made was that he was no longer tasked with being the team's starting small forward, and instead being used as a big man off the bench, which makes it easier to maximize his defensive potential while also hiding his offensive incapabilities much better. He's both a terrific rim protector and perimeter defender, and he should really focus on those parts of his game because they hold a ton of value in today's NBA. And if he excels as a small ball big man, he should be able to turn his career completely around. The next player we'll discuss entering a make-or-break season is the first overall pick from the 2017 NBA Draft, Markelle Fultz. Fultz's situation since entering the NBA has, quite frankly, been one of the most bizarre things to ever happen in all of professional sports history. He completely forgot how to shoot a jump shot. The real reason for why has not been made official yet over 2 years later, and his health status is still, after all this time, completely up in the air. He's only played in a total of 33 games through 2 seasons, and at no point in any of those games did he look fully comfortable playing to what he's capable of being. To be blunt, he's on track to being one of the biggest busts in NBA history, so that alone is enough of a reason to have him on this list, because this upcoming season is going to be massive for his career moving forward. Additionally, after this season, the final year of his contract is a team option, and if the Magic don't take that team option, then he becomes a free agent. If he still doesn't look right out on the floor, being extremely hesitant on the perimeter and using herky-jerky shooting form, then his value is going to tank, and his tenure as an NBA player may come to an end. We all saw what Fultz was capable of doing at Washington. The question is whether or not that player still exists, because he's going to need to figure things out quickly. Up next on this list is Frank Ntilikina of the New York Knicks, whose tenure in the Big Apple has been controversial from the very beginning. At the time of the 2017 draft, it was known that he was going to be a project. However, how big of a project and how far away from producing he actually was unknown. Through 2 seasons, he's been in and out of the Knicks rotation, oftentimes failing to make any sort of significant impact when he does play. In those seasons, he's averaged about 6 points and 3 assists per game, has shot the ball horribly inefficiently, and tends to play tentatively instead of being aggressive. His biggest NBA skill is his defense, which I admit has shown some promise here and there, but overall he's not quite where he needs to be. The Knicks roster going into next season doesn't doesn't exactly do him any favors either, as he's now behind both Elfrid Payton and Dennis Smith Jr. on the depth chart at point guard. He too has a team option in his contract for next season, so he's going to need to make a massive leap this season, as his NBA career likely depends on it. The next player we'll discuss on this list is Josh Jackson of the Memphis Grizzlies. Very few things have gone right for Josh Jackson so far in the NBA, both on and off the floor. He was pegged as a potential great two-way player coming out of college in 2017, but so far in the NBA, he's been disappointing on defense and inconsistent on offense. He hasn't been horrible by any means, and has actually had quite a few positive moments as a young player, but like many other young guys, he hasn't been able to do so well regularly. Off the court, he's also had some trouble with the law, which doesn't help his case at all, and this summer he got traded to Memphis from Phoenix. Memphis may be going down the route of rebuilding, but playing time is not guaranteed for Jackson, as the team's wing depth is very packed, including players like Dillon Brooks, Jay Crowder, Kyle Anderson, Grayson Allen, and Solomon Hill. If he doesn't break into the rotation this year, he might be lucky to get a second NBA contract. Up next, we'll discuss Dragan Bender, who is now in a new situation on the Milwaukee Bucks. Bender was the 4th pick back in 2016, yet after 3 years is looking more like a bust than someone worthy of being in an NBA rotation. He was drafted the year after Kristaps Porzingis, and after Kristaps broke out, the Suns were hoping to be getting a player similar in playstyle, but that just simply has not been the case. His playstyle as a stretch big is as valuable as ever in today's NBA, but the issue is that his jump shot has been horribly inconsistent and inefficient. After the Suns declined his team option, he was very close to returning to Europe this summer, but instead he's giving the NBA one last go with the Bucks, where he will have to compete hard to even see the floor. The Bucks' frontcourt rotation is already pretty set in stone, with Giannis, both Lopez brothers, and Ersan Ilyasova, so barring any injuries, he's basically just an end-of-the-bench option right now. It's unfortunate that he was never able to live up to the hype, but ultimately you have to earn your spot in the NBA, and Bender has simply not done that yet. Next up on this list is Stanley Johnson of the Toronto Raptors. Johnson was drafted back in 2015, and his strength, defensive potential, and overall talent were very tantalizing for NBA teams at the time. He started his career with the Pistons, then last year got traded to New Orleans, but through 4 seasons, he's been one of the worst offensive players in the league. He has yet to shoot above 40% from the floor, has only once shot above 30% from 3, which was his rookie year when he shot 31%, all of which is well below league average. Defensively is where he's at his best, especially in one-on-one situations, and he has the size, strength, and agility to continue to be a plus defender on that end of the floor. Unfortunately, that doesn't outweigh his horrific offensive struggles, and this season in Toronto is going to be big for him. The Raptors lost Kawhi Leonard in free agency, and Johnson will likely be a part of the team's rotation. If he can get his jumper to start falling at least near the league average rate, he can still salvage his career as a 3-and-D player, but if he can't, then he's in trouble. Lastly, the final young player entering a make-or-break season on this list is Mario Hezonja of the Portland Trail Blazers. Hezonja's highlight reel at the time of the 2015 draft from overseas was admittedly stupendous, showing off ridiculous athleticism, a seemingly effortless pull-up jumper, and highlight reel dunks that would wow any fan of the game. The Magic took him early in the draft that year, yet never managed to earn consistent playing time, and he has yet to average double-digit points or shoot the ball efficiently in a season, despite being a scorer by nature. He has the ideal size and athleticism for a wing player in today's NBA, but physical traits don't make a player produce, and production has been the big issue throughout his career. He's now on a perennial playoff team for the first time in his career, meaning that unless he plays well, he won't get minutes, because winning is the team's #1 priority. The Blazers took Nasir Little in the first round this year, and while he's seen as someone a few years away from contributing, if he's ready to go, the team will definitely prioritize Little over Hezonja. In order to remain in the league moving forward, Hezonja's shot is going to have to fall at a much more reliable rate, because the rest of his game is not up to par, and being a career 32% three-point shooter is not going to cut it. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more NBA content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.